Sound better?
Hello, my name is Yvonne. I have a podcast. It's called JK Lifestyles with Yvonne. Today we're meeting with Felicity Nicole. She's a brand owner of She Is You. It's an online community for midlife women seeking support on their healing journey. And she has her own journey to tell us about today. Hi, how are you today, Felicity?
I'm wonderful, Yvonne. It's great to be here. I want to apologize for the way I look. I didn't put two to two and go together pre-interview podcast, but we're gonna rock it the best we can, right? That's what we do as women. We just go with the flow and rock it.
Yes. And like I had told you before, your makeup is spot on.
Thank you.
You really look nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about the your online community? She is
Yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. So she's you is a community for midlife women that is seeking transformation support in whatever season of womanhood that we're in. We obviously know that as a midlife woman, we enter and start to change through many different seasons, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's becoming an empty nester, divorce, menopause, career shifts. Just had a client here today that's going through a major career shift from
Mhm.
a hairdresser to HR. Complete change, of course. Exactly. And
Mhm.
that was this is a huge shift for her, and she's adjusting as best as she can emotionally through that.
Mhm.
And this community, we support through this
Mhm.
spiritually, financially, career, relationship. Those are like the foundations, the pillars that we work on.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like a mentorship.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is. We hop online, maybe once a month, once every other month, and whoever's available, and we talk it out with who's available, what's going on in their life, and what can we do to support and or help navigate them through whatever's going on.
What made you start that organization?
Yeah. So this is a funny story. It really is. So, um, after I left my first marriage, I was brainstorming because I knew I wanted to have my book published, my story published.
Mhm.
And so I brainstorm on pads of paper. And I could feel the sense that I was going to build some sort of online presence. I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So when COVID hit, I had finished my manuscript for my memoir and I queried it. And I heard back from somebody stating, "We're not saying no, but memoirs are hard to sell and nobody knows who you are." So at that point, I looked at my husband because I had been remarried and I said,
Mhm.
"Okay, can I quit the veterinary industry because I've been hospital management for 22 years and
Mhm.
build my community? Let's just get my presence." And he goes, "Absolutely." So I pull out an old steno and I'm flipping through it and I see the words "She Is You." And I look at the date and it's from like 2012. I'm like, wow, okay, all right, "She Is You." He's like, "Sounds great, sweetheart, but why don't you keep brainstorming over it?" So I'm brainstorming a little more and I come across a later journal that has the same thing, "She Is You." And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, if that's not confirmation from spirit. So that's where the platform and the magazine began, the community,
Mhm.
because of the book. But I didn't
Mhm.
have a place to turn to when I was going through my own transformational journey. I turned to my counselor and therapy modalities. But I think a sisterhood I would have benefited tremendously from on my
Mhm.
healing journey. And that's what this is about. We are a sisterhood of midlife warriors. We band together and support one another.
Mhm. One of the things that you said was that your first marriage, it ended in divorce. What was the things that was done that caused that divorce?
Fantastic question. It's a huge learning lesson. Um, I loved him dearly. We were married for 11 years. He's the father of my son, but he was an extreme alcoholic. And
Mhm.
it had become to the point that it was either going to be my circumstances would not be well or save my family, which would be my son and I. And there was a lot of abuse behind closed doors, and I hid it well. And I speak about that and how we hide it well because there's so much shame around it.
Mhm.
People didn't realize, or they did and they didn't tell me. I don't know, but
Mhm.
there was financial abuse as well too. So whatever I made went to him.
Mhm.
So I had to scrounge up and I would save and I'd buy 4 spoons, 4 forks, 4 knives, 4 plates. I had premeditated this move. I found a house that I could afford to rent. I had
Mhm.
painted it inside myself. I bought 4 towels,
Mhm.
it just all that. And then um, didn't tell him, didn't tell my son because when you're dealing with DV, you got to be careful.
Mhm.
And I had $47 to my name after I paid the movers that moved a couple pieces of furniture. I remember it was an ice storm. An ice storm hit Chicago, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, are they gonna be able to come?" And I remember them walking in saying, "Okay, ma'am, what are we moving?" And as I start to tell them, "We're gonna take this piece, and then we're gonna take this piece," and I started to cry because the fear set in. Because there's that fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
I'm yes, blind faith and trusting God on his nudges to do this, to save my family. I remember the gentleman, after he moved us into the new house, he says, "I don't know you, ma'am, but I'm going to tell you from a year from now, you're going to be completely different." And I would love to meet him because, like, what, 12, 13, 14, 15 years from now? I mean, I'm completely different. That first transformation was all about learning to lean in on blind faith and learning to build my foundation on faith and spirituality and my connection with God.
I think that's, I think certain situations people stay in is because they have fear and they are afraid to strike out on their own, especially if they don't have the finances, if they the support. Um, I guess not everyone has a trust fund sitting there, with a couple of million to
Where's mine?
facilitate.
Yeah.
So
If it's hiding, I'd like to see it.
I just think that what made you push, what gave you the strength? I know faith. I know God had to be involved because you didn't have a lot of money and didn't have a lot of support. It was what
You
would
ready?
you tell other people to do who may be in a situation where the fear is keeping them there?
So I'm a tough lover. I do tough love with my clients.
Mhm.
Um, he pulled my crutch. So my parents passed away in 2013, 3 months apart from each other. So I no longer had a safe place to go to when things got rough. So right there, my crutch is gone. I knew internally. So in my solar plexus, I could feel that I was meant for something more. I could feel that. I could feel that through the prayer that I would do every day, the meditation that I would do with him. I could feel there was something more. So if I had to tell somebody that was stuck, paralyzed in that fear, is that you have to learn to take that fear, alchemize that into love, right? And trust for whatever higher being or spiritual practice that you have, the
Mhm.
process in order to move forward, or you're never going to grow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself after you went through all that? What did you learn about yourself? Because I tell you something, I could tell you're a stronger person. You have to be.
Yeah.
You would have never survived. You would have never had the courage to move.
No.
And you did that. So that's my little. input.
Plus, I lost my job in between that. Like, I literally am going through a divorce, making $9 an hour. Okay. And I lose my job. I've never been fired in the veterinary industry. I've got this fantastic reputation. It's in the book. I've been doing it forever. And I'm fired for the most obscure reason. And I was just, again, one of those fully just trust the process. Trust the process. I have you. This whole journey has been about surrendering. And so, yes, I have become strong. I've had to learn to lean on my faith because I've been abandoned by everybody in my life in human form, right? Moms, dads, siblings, relationships. But I never once have been abandoned by my God. And so that kind of helped me change that a little bit. But I grew, the wisdom from that was definitely about becoming stronger and just having a serious foundation of
Mhm.
faith because I wasn't aware that I was going to embark on several more transformations throughout the course of like the next decade.
What about your relationship with siblings, especially at that time? Was that a any type of support system that you could turn to? You did say you were abandoned, but in what way you couldn't rely on them?
I I could I could rely on them they to make sure that my son was taken care of. I was working 3 jobs at one point. What I noticed right away was that as I was growing and doing the healing work, um, certain people in my family didn't like that. And I speak about family systems and how they're created, and everybody's put in a box. And you've got the chosen child, you've got the golden child, you've got the parentified child, and then I was the child that was duped. She was going to go nowhere, and I fit that role well because I was taught from a very young age. So
Mhm.
I, as I coach women today, I have to tell you are going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. And as much as I love my siblings, I had to walk away from them because they were it was just unhealthy. And I knew I wouldn't be able to grow into where I am at today
Mhm.
without releasing them and letting them go with the intention of love. You got to get past the ugh and move into that state of forgiveness, and then the love comes because it is. I love them dearly. I miss them. And I know, everybody's safe.
How do you learn to forgive people that have hurt you?
So we have our heart, right? This
Mhm.
is our heart chakra. And so if you can go through the process of grief, like the stages of healing, you're going to have anger and you're going to have grief. You have to really learn to sit within your emotions and experience them.
Mhm.
You also have to learn to let go of those grudges. And when you can realize that, for example, I'm going to talk about my mother, just as an example, her turning her back on me during some pivotal points in my life. That's because she was taught that from her mother. And her mother was taught that from her mother. So there's really no person that you could really point a finger to because it's so generational when it comes to trauma. It was easier for me to forgive because I was able to understand that, wow, we were just taught this way. Like my siblings they just were taught this way. And so I was able to move more into that part of forgiveness because I understood that it really was nobody's fault. We are all just groomed into who we are. It's the generational trauma. It's the patterns that we repeat in family cycles. There's always a cycle breaker. I was the one chosen to be the cycle breaker. Yeah.
You said you started your business. You didn't have a business background.
Mhm.
So what what gave you the oomph to go and start your own business, and how's it going?
I love it. Um, I like a challenge.
Mhm.
I saw how talented my mother was. She was a beautiful woman. She was an amazing artist. She was a florist. And I saw how she was so stuck in fear when it came to opening her own flower shop. And I always told her, let's do this, Anita. Come on. I got your back. Let's do this. And she never wanted to do it. So seeing her stuck in fear gave me the courage. I'm just going to do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? It's going to fail. At least I tried. I
Mhm.
tried. The worst thing that's going to happen is that it's going to fail.
Mhm.
And yes, I've had setbacks. And yes, I've learned lessons. And yes, I've rocked it and I've grown it. And, we're still going.
Because I know I'm a single parent also, and I know sometimes it the responsibility of maintaining the lives of your children, it can be daunting at times. And I know sometimes just getting up and going to work and doing all the things that need to be done to maintain your family, to take care of your children, is very, very difficult. And did you have times like that?
I did. I have CPTSD.
What is that? Oh,
This is called complex post traumatic stress disorder.
okay. I
I
never
wouldn't,
heard it before,
yes,
but
I wouldn't
mhm,
be diagnosed too much later down the road.
mhm,
Um, we are in fight or flight. I was in fight or flight with my son. I had to hustle it to make sure we had food on the table.
mhm.
And then I had to hustle it because I was building a business. And he's a wonderful, oh my God, he's a wonderful baseball player. He's a really good young man. And, he wants to go Division 1 with baseball. He's a lefty pitcher. And so we have to sacrifice a lot. I've had to sacrifice a lot in order to get him to where he's at. And I'm sure he'd sit here and he'd be like, no, you didn't. You know what I mean? They're kids. Um, they're narcissists for babies, right? It's just in us, but we love them and we support them. And I don't know if they truly know how much pain we go through to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's one thing I hope I leave with my son is the legacy that I built all of this for him.
I feel that way about my children too. I feel like they're two of the best things that I ever did in my life. It was a struggle. It was hard, but I would do it again.
Mhm.
And I like the results. They turned out pretty, pretty good young men.
Oh, that's good. That's actually
But
great.
well, this was Felicity Nicole who came on to talk to us. I'm so glad she did. Some of the things that she said I can identify with, and I'm sure so many other women have. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for
I
coming.
know, Yvonne. Thank you. This has been fun. If people want to know more about me, they can visit my website, which is she'syouMag.com. You can
Mhm,
purchase my book, Pieces of Me, on there. My second book, Higher Consciousness Approach to Forgiveness, is going to be released, I want to say, sometime in the summer, which is a
mhm,
quick airplane read. But in order to understand that storyline, you have to really read this first book or you're going to be lost. Because I
mhm,
weave my life throughout the pointers on learning how to get to that part of forgiveness. Because it's really all about, I just wish we all could enter that part of ourselves internally and just push that love out because that's what we were intended to do. That's what the Gospels taught us to do, is
mhm,
just, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. And then just get reacquainted into a new world, a new season, as we talked about before, into a new house, a new life. I'm starting over again, once again at 47. And I'm really looking forward to what God has in store for me.
Good things, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Felicity.
Thank you.